Ciao and welcome. Today I will be stuffing some bell peppers and large portobello mushrooms with a frittata which will be made of some potatoes, peppers, portobello mushrooms and onions and some other ingredients. This is something different, something new. I've never tried it before and I want to see what it looks like, so I thought I'll share it with you. The first thing I'll do is to clean the peppers and I'm going to be very careful and remove the head using a knife like this. And if you look on the inside of a pepper, you can see that there is all of this white pith which needs to be removed. That is because it's going to be very bitter otherwise. Less than 20 seconds and it's quickly clean. I'll show you again using this yellow one. So get hold of a knife and remove the internal part just by scoring it like this. Then get hold of the middle and just twist it with your fingers and it will come out just like this. And using the knife I'll go back in and I'll just remove the rest of the white pith. And it is beautiful and clean now. I mentioned that I would also be stuffing some mushrooms and I'm going to be removing the middle part that comes off again very easily. But also I will be peeling the skin off, but I will be keeping the skin as part of the filling. And if you go here at the end and just get hold of it and it'll come off ever so easily. I'll do it again using this one, so get hold of the end and it comes off hopefully just like this, and then gently remove the skin. And I'm peeling the third one, but I will not be stuffing this one. This will be part of the filling. I'll put a little olive oil on the palm of my hand and I'll rub it all over the outside part of my mushrooms. And I'll place them inside a baking tray alongside my peppers. And I'll put this in the oven for an initial quick blast, about 10 minutes, 200 degrees. And back to my mushrooms, all of the part which I have removed, I'm now chopping it with a knife. New pepper, and I'll cut this in half, and once again I remove all of the white stuff and seeds from inside. And don't forget to go back with a knife and make sure that all of the white is gone. And I'll do some slices first, and I'll slice this further into little cubes. I'm now peeling a medium red onion. You can also use white if you wish. And I've chopped the onion into two halves, and then I will again make little cubes. I'm applying now some olive oil in the pan, followed by all of my chopped vegetables. And I'll mix them well and I'll leave them to sizzle for a good 10 minutes until the peppers and the mushrooms come out of the oven. In the meantime I will prepare some of the other ingredients. These are 150 grams of baby potatoes which I have already boiled. They are cooked, they're ready to eat as it happens, and they are straight out of the fridge. And whenever we can, we always leave the skin on as it has lots of fibre and it's really good for your digestive system. I'm going along though and I'm chopping them further, and I'm going to be making tiny little cubes, same size as the rest of the ingredients, like this. The reason why I'm cutting them quite small is because I will be stuffing the peppers and the mushrooms and I don't want them to take over. But also I suspect I will have some leftover of all of the ingredients, and I'll be making a little frittata with that. Talking of which, I'm now breaking 6 eggs into a bowl. I have not added any salt at all into anything, and I will only be adding it now to my eggs. And the same with some pepper. And I'll whisk them together. I'll go along, pick up my potatoes and add them in, followed by a very generous handful of grated cheddar. And I'll mix it all together once again, and I'm now waiting for the mushrooms and the peppers to finish cooking until they're a little bit softer, and then I can add them in. And here they are. I've left them to cool down for a couple of minutes so that they're not piping hot, and I cook my egg beforehand. And I'm keeping this pan as this is what I'll be using to make my frittata. And before I go and get the peppers and the mushrooms, I'm going to add a little bit of paprika. This is smoked. Quantity is entirely up to you. Entirely up to you if you want to put it in. The taste, of course. And also I will be adding a few chili flakes. Only a few, otherwise I'll get in trouble with Julie. There you go. And my last ingredient for the time being is some parsley. This is parsley which I keep in the freezer, and I'm going to put a good handful also. One final mix and I'm ready to go and get the peppers and the mushrooms from the oven as 10 minutes have passed. And here they are, steaming hot, straight out of the oven. And by the way, the reason why I've put them in the oven for 10 minutes beforehand is because peppers, they require anything between 40 to 45 minutes to cook properly. So by putting them in the oven for 10 minutes, I'll give them a head start, and the frittata will only need about 25 minutes, so that by the time the frittata is cooked, everything will cook at the same time. And likewise, I want to make sure that the mushrooms will also cook properly. If you look on inside my pepper, there is a little water, so I'm going to be removing that first. I don't want it in there. I'll show you also on this one. So look, there's quite a bit there. And I'm now filling them using my mixture. And by the way, should you choose to make stuffed peppers like this, ensure that the peppers you buy, they stand by themselves just like this. Sometimes they've got a pointy end, and clearly that would not be possible. So like this, they will be fine. This one is a little bit wobbly, but at the very least it's still. This one is perfect. With the mushrooms, obviously there is not as much space, but I'll cover the entire surface as well, so let's see what happens. And before I put them in the oven, I'll add a little bit more cheddar on the top, including the mushrooms there. And also you will have noticed that I've also partly cooked the caps, but I'm going to be removing them because they are almost cooked and I don't think they need to be there, and then I can add them at the end. So these are ready to go in the oven, but I'll move on to the frittata next. A little bit more oil at the bottom, and I'll make sure that this is spread equally across the base and the sides so that the egg doesn't get stuck. And I'll pour in the rest of my frittata mix. If you have watched my channel before, there are plenty of frittata, so this is not going to be as spectacular as some of the others, but it's a good way to make sure that all of the ingredients are used. But to ensure that the frittata has its moment of glory, I'm also going to put a little tomato on top, which I'm slicing, so that at the very least will look a bit like a frittata. I've got a little cheddar left, so I might just as well sprinkle it on top. And everything is ready to go in the oven. The frittata will be going in for anything between 15 to 20 minutes, as there is not a lot in there. Whereas my stuffed peppers and mushrooms, I'll put them in for anything between 20 to 25 minutes, especially the peppers, as they do take their time. So I'll see you in about 35 minutes. Temperature 200 degrees. See you then. And everything is out of the oven, and as predicted, the frittata was in for 15 minutes and the peppers and the mushrooms were in for 25. So the frittata has now been out for 10 minutes, and actually it is safe to touch. And actually, if you look, can you see it's beginning to peel off already because it's shrinking, so it should be very, very easy to take it out. But before I do that, I'll sprinkle a little bit more parsley and a little drop of olive oil. And I'm ready to move on to the peppers and mushrooms next. You might have noticed that I did spill a little egg earlier, and that is what this is. Of course you can eat it. But I'll go along and remove my peppers first. Ooh, they'll be hot. I'll use a spatula for the mushrooms as they're a little bit more delicate. Ooh, hot. Perfect. That's number 2. And as I mentioned, you can eat this. Crunchy. Lovely. Let's put everything in a plate next. That's number 2. And just like I did with the frittata, I'm going to sprinkle a little parsley on the top. This is of course to garnish, but also to give a little bit more of a fresh flavour, followed by more olive oil. I just realised that I forgot to put my mic on, but there is one on the camera which is not far from me, so hopefully it won't affect the audio. And I'm keen to show you what the inside looks like. So I'll chop one in half. Ooh, looks very nice. And let's try some. And I'll start with the pepper first. Still a little bit crunchy, the pepper, which is quite nice. And the flavors of the frittata are really rich, and definitely you can taste the cheddar and also a little bit of the chili. I'll try also some of the mushroom, and then I'll go. This is obviously a vegetarian dish, but if you're a meat eater and you fancy adding some meat, whilst you are frying the peppers and the mushrooms together, you can also add some bacon or some minced pork, beef, or sausages, anything you like, of course, or even fish, maybe some salmon. That might go very well. Let's try the mushrooms. The mushroom actually adds more of an earthy flavour, but it's very, very similar. Clearly there is pepper in there as well, but it's lovely. I won't taste the frittata. I don't want to keep you longer than necessary, as that is made of frittata, and it's a delicious and easy enough meal, and different. Arrivederci, grazie, and buon appetito. Ciao.